Hello and welcome back to the Last Place Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Ethan, and I'm joined as always by my two co-hosts, Josh and Ryan. Can't speak today. Not
Hello.
enough water. Ryan, free agency. Not a lot of moves yet, but
Not any
what's
moves
going on?
yet. Not any moves yet. So there's been no signs as of this filming of the podcast. It will happen in a couple of days, right, Josh?
I want to say actually in a couple of weeks, but we're
Was it?
right
I thought it was a couple of days.
because
So
usually it's after the combine. So
okay. So the combine's about to start.
March 14th.
We are okay. So in about 2 weeks.
Yep.
So in about 2 weeks. Right now, we're going to be going over some of our free agents, our top free agents, and some honorable mentions for this off season. Some of the people may be returning back to their teams. Some may be going other places. Right now, we have no clue. So we're just going to go through and just evaluate them, see where some good fits would be for them, and just talk it out pretty much. Josh, let's start with your number one.
all right, you want to go from 1 to 5 or 5 to 1?
Oh shoot. Let's do 5 to 1.
Okay, 5 to 1. Well,
and then we'll do an honorable mention.
Okay, sounds good. So do you want me to just list them all down or?
Yeah.
All right,
just
cool.
go ahead. Well, let's just start out at 5 and we'll list our 5s.
All right, my number 5. Not something you would expect, but I will say after one tweet talking about how many people have talked about this player, I feel like whatever the decision this guy makes will reverberate across the league, especially for this season. And it's Mitch Trubisky.
Trubisky, interesting.
Okay.
So veteran quarterback, ex-Bear, now Bill. So he's going free agency. Where would some good fits for him?
So good fit. So here's why I talk about it is there was a tweet from Matt Miller that specifically said, I've talked to a lot of teams that have talked more about Mitch Trubisky than the quarterback class. And I think that's one thing that we totally did not realize, especially when talking about this draft class and like what teams may do. Totally forgot how Mitch Trubisky could be an option again. And it's kind of really off of one preseason game where he kind of torched the Bears.
Yeah.
But
which is awesome to see.
Yeah, awesome to see.
Mitch Trubisky has been brought up in a lot of Falcons circles too.
Would not be surprised. Younger quarterback, still within like the relative age range, in the middle of his prime, and there is a sign of improvement. So I'm just going to get to my notes real quick. Really, the biggest thing about this is with a weak quarterback draft class, which teams go for him? And I've kind of already ruled out Washington and Denver because they kind of played the game already, and even Carolina for that matter, just because they've tried the Darnold, they tried the Teddy, they tried the Fitz Magic, and it all kind of just didn't work. So now you need a clear and obvious upgrade. So for those teams, I haven't really seen it. But
okay,
if I were to think of teams interested, my main 3 right now is Miami, Indianapolis, and Pittsburgh.
Ooh, Miami or Tua.
And
I don't think Miami.
I don't think Miami would go. They spent too much on Tua on a first round pick.
I agree with y'all there, and I don't think they do it. Like I give this like a 2% chance that he goes to Miami.
Okay.
But it's how much say does McDaniel have over the roster construction with Chris Grier? And I know Chris Grier most likely wants to stick with Tua to make sure his track record looks good. But I can also totally see him being the backup. And then if Tua either gets hurt or struggles, you have someone there ready to go. So that would be the only situation. Now, as far as starting, Colts and Pittsburgh seem the most obvious to me, though the Colts, I really don't know where they go from here because
Yeah.
they definitely do look like they want to start moving on from Wentz. But the issue is, do you want to take another chance of a Carson Wentz situation again?
Mm.
And for Chris Ballard and for Frank Reich, do you really want to go through that? Because he did that with, I mean, there's Rivers, there's Wentz, there's
Yeah.
Jacoby Brissett. Like it's so that's where like Pittsburgh, if you can't get Rodgers, if you can't get Deshaun, if you can't get Matt Ryan, if you can't get any of those top guys, Mitchell Trubisky.
And yeah, I'd say Pittsburgh would be a good fit for him just because, they're looking for at least, what I've heard through the grapevine. They're looking for a bridge quarterback, something that may not be franchise right now, but fills the gap. They're looking for skill.
There's also a chance
And
though that
Trubisky,
Trubisky may not be like he may be just a
yeah,
bridge guy or something even
Mhm.
better.
yeah, and spend a year in that Dable offense under Josh Allen may have sparked something in him. Being away from Matt Nagy and that terrible Bears team, being away from them could have sparked something. So he could end up going to Pittsburgh and a solid team around him could make waves.
How do you feel about Mitchell Trubisky's potential situation, Ethan?
I don't know. I don't know if this is the year that someone's going to make a play for him. Again, there's just a lot of question marks. I, as a Falcons fan, would love to see it happen. Maybe just kind of get that next QB after Matt Ryan going, let Arthur Smith work on him. I know one thing a commentator was saying was Arthur Smith did a lot of work with Ryan Tannehill. Can he do it again with Mitchell Trubisky? That's something I'd like to see. I mean, I think the talent is there. I think it's a lot of mental and a lot of development he didn't get under Matt Nagy or Nagy.
But do you see it potentially being like signed to like a backup role, and then that kind of gives Atlanta like the flexibility to be like, oh hey, if a team offers something really crazy, and then just let it kind of happen from there?
Yeah, I think no matter what, he's going to be a backup wherever he's going.
Yeah,
So,
I just
At
find
least
it.
temporarily.
Yeah,
yeah.
I definitely think he's bridge quarterback situation, but like wherever he goes, I think that gives us a very good like outlook on one, like who are the quarterbacks that teams are really interested in, and then who will not be going for a quarterback,
Yeah. I don't know.
especially
I think the
first
whole
round.
quarterback question this year is just so who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's a big question mark
Yeah.
across the league.
Because, I mean, we don't know if Jimmy G is getting traded. We
Yeah.
don't know if the Colts are moving on from Wentz. We don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to stay, if he's going to leave, we don't know anything because he says he wants to leave. And then Green Bay goes and
Clears
restructures
cap,
Kenny
yeah.
Clark and Aaron Jones and David Bakhtiari. I don't know how to say his last name,
Nope,
but
you
whatever
nailed
it is. Okay.
Yeah, they're making
And
room.
create all this money. And then Aaron Rodgers comes out and says, okay, well, I want to be on a winning team, but I also want to get paid $50 million. And it's like,
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I think with how a lot of players are looking at it is, I think we talked about it like 2-3 weeks ago. It's looking into next year, especially when the cap spikes to like 260, 270. I don't remember the number off the top of my
Jeez.
head, but when you spike from what is it 202 now to like 260, and you have, oh look, an extra 60 million I can work with. I think
Yeah.
a lot of players are looking into that. It's like, oh yeah, you can give me 50 million, but like you could do like 25 this year and then go 50 the next year or something of that nature.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of around the league, there's a lot of veteran quarterbacks that are up for grabs right now. There's quite a few. So the quarterback situation around the league is
Oh, it's
iffy.
currently
Big question
182
mark.
is
Well, it
the
was
cap right now.
182 last year.
Yeah, for
It's going to be
2020.
208.
Yeah, 208 this year. Sorry, I said 202, but it's 208 for this season, and then it's
Yeah.
like 260 for next season. So,
Well, they haven't out with it for next season.
Yeah, it's not official. It's
They'll-
only
they'll-
projected.
Yeah, it's projected,
yeah.
but yeah, we'll go over that next week during our rants.
Yes.
So yeah. So moving on. My number 5 is Von Miller. Von Miller's a free agent this year, Super Bowl winner. I don't think that he's going to go anywhere because Aaron Donald is kind of fighting for him. He's fighting for a lot of different guys there to be re-signed on the Rams to make another Super Bowl run. I think they're going to try to find a way to keep him, either franchise tag him or sign him to another 1-year deal, do something like that. So that's my guess on, where he lands, outside of the Rams. I mean, Von Miller could really just be plugged in anywhere there's a need on the defensive line. So
I would say specifically 3-4 teams. So
yeah,
but I honestly see it as the Rams just won a Super Bowl. They want everybody back.
yeah,
So I think they'll do what it takes to get everybody back. And I
Yeah.
don't know necessarily if you can find someone on Von Miller's level right now,
Mhm.
like within free agency, maybe the draft, but but this is just like that one special year. But obviously, any rookies that you do take are not going to be on Von Miller's level either. So
Mhm.
honestly, I think it's obvious that he will stay. It really just determines on what the number will be.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're bringing that team back, probably other than Andrew Whitworth. I think that entire team's coming back. Vaughn,
Mhm.
everybody, vet minimums, caps going up. The Rams aren't really hurting in the cap department, excuse me, to begin with. So that team's coming back.
Definitely.
Whether or not they're going to win again,
That
Who
remains
knows,
to be
but-
seen.
That's true. They'll have a pretty decent chance. They're a solid team,
I
but
said that about Tampa Bay.
see, that's true. That is true.
They said that about Kansas City.
They say that about a lot of teams.
The only team that's actively said we're blowing this thing up was the Ravens in 2013, and that was a bad idea.
Yeah, that went really well for them.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But
All right. So
Ethan, who is your 5?
yeah.
My number 5 is another Rams player. I went all offense, all wide receivers for my 5 free agents, just for warning. Even my honorable mention is a wide receiver. But my number 5 is Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
So OBJ has a lot of question marks. There's obviously the injury. So a team who signs him probably going to be the Rams, in my opinion.
Mhm.
You're not going to have him for at least the first half of the season. So I mean, there's that, and then there's going to be rust. There's a lot of things with OBJ. I think he's not done yet. I think he has like 2, maybe 3 more years left in him, maybe. But I think he's a phenomenal player. I think he's great for their system.
Yep.
And it'll be interesting to see what they do with Robert Woods. But OBJ is my number 5.
Nice. That's a good pick. I kind of just took that one as like, without a doubt, I think he's staying in LA.
Yeah.
I think I think McVay is the best coach at using him right, especially who the people have been in Odell's career. But
Right.
I don't know if he's on the pup list to start the year, but overall, like he's such a great compliment to Cooper Kupp. And I would even say that maybe even a little bit better than Robert Woods as of right now, considering they both have 2 torn ACLs. But that's but
that's a problem for later.
Yeah, that's a problem for later, schematically and physically right now. But I think Odell, one, can command almost like a double team, or he's like another guy that you can like hit on all levels. Like he still has that speed to kind of like take like a 2 yard slant into a 20-yard gain, but he could still do the
Mhm.
intermediate, he could still do the deep
Mhm.
throws. Whereas this point, Robert Woods was really good at short to intermediate, not necessarily deep.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
OBJ
I
is a lot
think
bigger than people give him credit for.
That is true.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like he was he's a complete wide receiver one. Like he can do literally
Yeah.
everything and has the size and physicality for it.
Yeah, and I think that's why he fits in so well there. You know, they need kind of a utility guy right there. So that's what
Yeah.
they needed
And they have a
when
quarterback
they
that
lost
can
Robert Woods.
I can see him
Yeah.
running his
Yeah.
routes.
Of course.
And being open too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because I mean, the amount of tape where OBJ is just running free when he played for the Browns and Baker Mayfield just looks him off it's
Yeah.
comical.
And I really think why the Browns failed. One, let's start off with this. Freddie Kitchens, not so good.
Yeah.
But especially with Stefanski, it was I just think they kind of tried to box him in almost and just said Jarvis is our possession guy. Odell is our deep guy. And we have to understand with Odell is like he is probably a class above that. Like where to the point is you can do whatever you want with him.
Yeah.
And like literally it was just a bunch of deep routes every time. And sometimes he hit, a lot of times he didn't, or a lot of times you didn't even see him at all.
Yeah.
So I think with how McVay uses like Cooper Cup and that obviously Odell for like the last few games of the year, it was like you're being used in a variety of ways. And I think that's kind of where Odell fits best.
Yeah. I agree.
Agree. Yeah. I agree. So
All right. Well,
Josh.
I'll reverse this order up. I'll give you my number
Okay.
4.
All right.
I like it.
All right.
Let's
Let's
snake
do
it.
it.
My
Let's snake it.
my next wide receiver, Allen Robinson.
Hey, that's my 4 as well.
Allen Robinson.
Hey, look, see,
All
great
right.
minds think alike, Josh.
Mm-hmm.
Allen Robinson is an interesting one. I don't think he's staying with the Bears. Even I think the Bears put some out today.
Yeah.
They did.
They just put
saying
out
that they wanted to
something.
move on from him
Mhm.
and that they want to
Darnell
go
Mooney's
forward with
gonna-
Mooney as number 1.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
So, I mean, that seems pretty clear cut. I don't know what there is else to say about that. He's not coming back.
Yeah,
I
he's
think-
definitely hitting free
But
agency.
I will say when it comes to draft fits though, and I'm sorry to cut you off, Ethan.
No, you're
I
fine.
think that makes Chicago a very interesting play to see if they try and trade back up to get Chris Olave and get the Ohio State connection again. With so
Interesting.
Fields, Mooney, Olave.
Yeah.
Just an idea.
Interesting.
Huh. I'd be interested to see.
That is very interesting because they have the Joe Burrow connection at LSU with Chase.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's been proven
and
that
Joe
that kind
Burrow,
of
and
works.
it's been great there. So they may end up trying to reunite them.
I mean, yeah, well,
knows?
why try and build new chemistry when you already have chemistry between
Exactly.
players?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
But I see Allen Robinson back on him, a good fit for maybe like Philadelphia is kind of my thought. Getting a vet in with Rager and now Devontae Smith.
Didn't think about that, but I like that fit
That would
because especially they only
that
have
would be interesting.
one tight end now because they traded Ertz, so you have Goddard,
Yeah.
and then depending on how you view Rager, I mean Allen Robinson immediately slides in as wide receiver too.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you can like shorten his role a little bit, kind of give him like the Nelson Aguilar role.
Right. Well, and I think both those young wide receivers, whether it be Devontae Smith or Rager, maybe need to not be the number 1 right now. As far as like development.
Yeah, and they could probably use, a veteran wide receiver in that room.
But
So,
also, Allen Robinson is such a different kind of receiver too. Like he can be physical, and I
Right.
think that's an element Devonta Smith nor Jalen Rager really possess.
Yeah. They're
Mhm.
both kind of like tweeners.
Yeah, tweeners, but like Rager's more of the speed. Devonta Smith is more of the
Route
route.
running. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I
So
think that'd be a good fit. I think that'd be a slam dunk
I
move for Philly.
I like that fit. And I didn't even put it down, but I'll give you a couple teams I put down. I put Kansas City as one,
Okay.
and then Colts,
Yeah.
Browns, Raiders. So as all four
Yeah,
teams,
all those make sense.
because my big thing with Allen Robinson, and it's we all have to ask this question, is he a wide receiver one anymore? And if you don't think that, then he is a darn good wide receiver two, and you need to take a look
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah, that's what I'd say is a darn good receiver too.
Yeah. And I think like Kansas City, Indy, and like those two teams especially, they have their top guy. They have Pittman, they have Tyreek Hill.
Mhm.
But especially with KC, I would find that to be pairings to be so dangerous because now, like, obviously Kelsey's there, and then Byron Pringle and Miko Hardman kind of like sprinkled in here and there. But really, the lack of the wide receiver two
Yeah.
kind of tanked the offense for a second. And so,
Well, yeah, I mean, when
'Cause
Miko
once you
Hardman
key-
or Robinson or Pringle didn't do anything, it's like, okay, well, this game's over.
well, yeah, and
Yeah,
then
they're
all
not
you-
really changeovers. You
And
like
all-
they go ahead.
I was about to say, all you had to do was double Tyreek Hill at that point, and then
Mhm.
you'll
Yeah.
live. You can like feel better about yourself. It's like, you know what? I let the backup to Tyreek Hill and a wide receiver 4 on the depth chart beat me. But if I can stop
Yeah.
Kelsey and Hill, then I've done all I can.
You at least slow up that offense enough to where your team could keep up. So, yeah,
And
I
then
get that.
as far as Cleveland and Vegas, that's his last two chances to be wide receiver one, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, for sure.
I mean, obviously, everyone keeps saying, "Oh, Devontae Adams and Derek Carr reunion again," which would be great. But will the Raiders want to give that much money to him? And on top of that, that's not even a guarantee that's going to happen. And so with Las Vegas being in such a need of a wide receiver one, yes, there's Renfro, but you also just lost Ruggs. Brian Edwards really isn't good. You need another outside threat to let Waller and Renfro operate. And then Cleveland has an issue of they kind of just been giving receivers away. Don't know if Jarvis Landry's coming back, but let's just assume he is. Your wide receiver two is either going to be DPJ, who's good, and then not Kadero Hodge, Rashard Higgins. But did any of those guys scare you a bit? Like that's where if I'm
No,
Cleveland,
not at
I'm
all.
looking like give Baker two legitimate weapons that you know that you can use properly, not Odell,
Mhm.
and then work from there.
Yeah,
What do you think, Ron? What's your
I
number
agree.
4?
My number 4 is Tyrann Mathieu, Honey
Makes sense.
Badger himself.
Nice. He's one of my honorable mentions.
Yeah, see, I think he stays with the Chiefs. He's a leader on the defense. He's kind of, I don't know. I don't think they would let him go with the caps that they have. I don't think they'd let him go or he would leave unless they refuse to sign him. And I think he would even take not a pay cut, but a pay decrease than what he's worth to stay on a championship caliber team, a contender, and still be, the leader of that defense. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. So that's my spot. But I think if he did go somewhere, I'd say the Chargers. The Chargers have the cap space for him, for one, and they have the need. So that would be my 2 cents on that.
I would look at the Ravens as an option.
Yeah.
I could even see like the Jets.
I was going to say I could see the
If they
Jets.
lose Marcus May.
Yeah, and which
Mhm.
I fully expect the Jets to re-sign Marcus May. And
Yeah.
even though they have Ashton Davis, but I think we're seeing with a lot of teams, you need at least 3 good safeties.
Yeah.
And so that's where I still think Tyrann Matthew is still extremely valuable. But besides KC, I see the Ravens, Jets.
Maybe
for
maybe the
sure.
Rams, because they're losing Weddle after the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
If
but they're
they-
not
if
going
they
to
have
want
the
to
money.
spend that much on
If
him.
they have the money, I
Yeah,
would
they're
pull the trigger because do you want to let a rookie develop, or is your team in a win now mode? So grab all the veterans who can pick up a system quick and get going.
Yeah.
see,
I think
that's the thing is, they may not have the money to spend on him. And
Yeah.
be able to keep people like Von Miller and
Leonard Floyd and
all of that.
yeah,
So being able to keep their defense together, let alone add very expensive pieces to their defense. That's where I think the Chargers are in a good position right now. They have a very young offense, very effective offense. They're just needing their defense to be able to hold it down. And I think adding a top corner, an aged top corner, I think that'd be a good fit for him.
So how do we I guess I just thought of two more places for Tyrann Matthew.
Yeah.
Atlanta and New Orleans.
New Orleans because of the cap space.
Yeah, so
They're
that's
not
why
gonna
I
sign
thought, but
they're
if you
probably
lose
not.
Marcus Williams, that who knows there. But
New Orleans is in a fire sale right
yeah,
now.
that's true.
They're not going to be
Come
adding
on, come on,
expensive
take whatever
pieces.
you want.
Let alone aged expensive, pieces to their defense.
The only reason I bring up Atlanta is because Dean P's system does require on a good safety.
Yeah.
And I think it more than it gives it credit for, but you just need someone in the back to be at least communicating to everybody.
They do still have Duron Harmon. So that's one thing that's like a maybe. And he was a good player. He wasn't great, but he was a good player. They drafted, oh my goodness. What is his name? I'm gonna have to pull it up. That's gonna drive me crazy.
I know exactly who you're talking about. Name escapes me too.
Oh my goodness. I should know this.
Come on, Falcons fan.
I am letting everyone down.
I'm sorry. According to last episode, you were a Saints fan.
Oh gosh. Please don't put me in that box.
We're telling all your Falcons fans. now.
Don't. Richie
Yeah,
Grant.
heathens.
Richie Grant. They drafted
Sorry,
Richie
yeah.
Grant, and
was Richie.
he started making plays towards the end of the season, and I like his upside. And then of course they had Jalen Hawkins, who was highly rated in the snaps he did get in. So I mean, I don't know.
All right, that one does sound more like a no to me. I would definitely
Yeah.
say Kansas City still feels like the best bet, though.
I would
Yeah.
say with the emergence of Richie Grant, and depending on how many more steps forward he takes, because I mean, in coverage and just in terms of like a player like Richie Grant looked good at the end of the 2020 season. And Jalen
Mhm.
Hawkins is kind of that in the box, out of the box, can cover a tight end, can play in space, can blitz, can do everything type role. So that kind of like safety three of like, I'm going to throw you in and you're going to do it, everything. The only thing I would say is if there is an issue with Duron Harmon, and then get rid of Duron Harmon, bring in Tyrann Matthew, and then let him rock with these two young kids and kind of show them the way, which of course I'd be down for that. But,
But they're already in, a bit of a
Situation
not
as
cap hell, but in a situation with having to pay Matt Ryan.
well, I
Oh.
mean, actually,
Better
I'm
now.
glad you bring that up.
it is better
because
now. Yeah.
That's one thing Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith were talking about before leaving for the combine. They did an interview with the Falcoholic and the Atlanta Journal, whatever, all these other media in Georgia. But basically what they're talking about is like, everyone sees us like in this bad cap situation, but like we extend Grady Jarrett and we're saving double digit,
Yeah.
in our cap space. We extend Matt Ryan, same thing. We're gonna save a good amount of money. There's a couple of guys we can cut. They didn't go into like a lot of details, obviously.
You got rid of Julio too, and that contract.
Yeah, getting rid of Julio
Yeah.
saved him a lot of money for this year specifically.
Mhm.
So, you know,
They,
and we're
they're
getting to
still
the end.
6 mil over though. That's the thing.
Well, I mean,
And then
but that's
restructure,
without the
but
Grady and the Matt
yeah,
Ryan extensions and without
yeah.
cutting
With
players
extending and
and
extending
before Julio's
everybody.
money's
Yeah.
off the books.
Making sure
Like,
Mike Davis doesn't enter the building.
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh my god.
Security, we talked about him, okay? I know he's a big man, tackle him. He went down pretty easy this last
All
season,
right.
so it shouldn't be too hard.
I don't mean anything.
All right. So Josh,
Yes.
moving on. You're number 4. What
Well,
is
my number
Oh, we
4
had the
was with
same.
we had the same one. We had Allen
it?
Robinson.
Okay.
So his
So you
number
had
3.
Allen Robinson. So
My
go
number-
ahead and do your number 3 then.
So let's go. Another receiver, Mike Williams.
Guess what my number 3 is, Josh?
Mike
Williams.
Williams.
Okay. All
Same
right.
mind,
Man,
Ethan. Same
Jeez.
mind.
I'm the black sheep here.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So what are your thoughts on Mike Williams?
the big question I put in my notes: who pays up for Mike Williams? Because he is a perfect
Mhm.
candidate to get a huge contract for a projection, basically. So, and especially with this past year, you saw him dominate and take over games on his own without the help of Keenan Allen, which is I think is a very big thing to realize.
Yeah.
Is that he kind of just did it
Mhm.
all on his own in a couple games, then disappeared and then came back for like one more game against Pittsburgh. But he had huge games in 2021. He honestly has the build to be a wide receiver 1 for teams. So I kind of put the
Mhm.
same list down here. I put Chargers re-sign, and then I put Cleveland, Las Vegas. The one team I want everyone to bring up though is if a team loses their current receiver, they can bring him on, and that's Tampa. Because
Hmm.
if you want to think about it, most likely Chris Godwin's going to set the market.
Yeah. I think Chris
And
Godwin's
that-
leaving.
Yeah,
Now that's for in a bit.
Yes.
That's for in a bit.
Yeah, that's in a bit. We can talk about Chris Godwin later.
In a second.
but
Yeah.
I
Literally in
I
one
just
second.
think it's interesting because it's either there's going to be no in between. He's either going to get a huge contract or a small prove it deal. And
Yeah.
if there's anything in the middle, I think it will be from the Chargers, but I can see the Chargers going kind of like Josh Palmer. So we're just going to go
Yeah.
with Josh Palmer. And
Yeah.
so, and then they also have
And they have
Jalen
Guyton too.
Yeah, Guyton as well. And then but overall, like I think Mike Williams is a very intriguing prospect. He was one I was in love with when he was in the draft. And it was someone that I really wanted the Ravens to take, and then he went 7. But I think he can be good. I think injuries have kind of killed him, but then again, I think
Yeah.
injuries have kind of killed the Chargers in past years to begin with.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
if you can
Totally.
if he can get to a new team that can like have the like facilities to help kind of like take care of his body, then by all means he is going to be a viable option.
Hmm.
I
Very
can
much
also,
so.
and I'll just say one more. I would not be surprised to see the Jets do it again. And you
Yeah.
pair
Take
up.
a swing on a big wide receiver.
So, but imagine this: your top 3 receivers are Corey Davis, Mike Williams, Elijah Moore.
Yeah. That's not bad.
It's possible, but
yeah.
even though I think they're going Drake London at 10, but it's a possibility.
Yeah. I mean, they need to take some offensive linemen.
Yeah,
I don't know
100%.
why no one is mocking them O lineman at 4. Because if Evan Neal is there at 4 and I'm the New York Jets, am I really not going to take him?
I think a lot of mock drafts have had Stingley at 4, but the more
Yeah,
people talk about
Stingley or
Stingley,
Kyle Hamilton.
look, personally, I think Kyle Hamilton is that dude, and he is a rare safety and is the best safety prospect since Derwin, in my opinion.
I agree.
But they need help on that O-line. You have to build that up for
That's what I'm
Zach
saying.
Wilson. So that's kind of where I can see him trading out of one of the spots and then taking a Trevor Penning later or a Bernard Raymond.
But I think there's such a drop off from Aquanu
Okay.
and
but
Evan
so
Neal.
We're kind of getting off topic, guys.
well, no, well,
Well, I mean, we're talking
on-
about destiny.
Not
now,
entirely.
You know,
Not
here's
entirely.
This is
here's
relevant.
here's why we bring this up in the Mike Williams conversation
Yeah.
is if they sign Mike Williams, that means with the 4th and the 10th pick is not a receiver, which means that someone who has been linked to the Jets for a lot of mock drafts being Drake London, the wide receiver out of USC, which means he's off the table at 10, which means what do the Jets have in store then? Are they going defense offense? Are they going O-line both times? Like that's why we bring it up, because depending on if they do sign Mike Williams, if they don't, it can either close or open the doors to like a couple possibilities to what we could figure out. Because they have so many needs, they have so many like options, and that's what makes free agency at least help with the draft.
And see, for me, I see Mike Williams staying.
I don't
I
think
see
he's
them
gonna stay.
franchise. I think they franchise tag him, and because this is his fluke year. I'm not saying it was a fluke, but this is an odd year for him because he's been in the league for quite a few years now and has never had the production that he has had this year. So I think that the Chargers will kind of, I don't know, not take advantage of that, but franchise tag him and hold on to him for a year to see if that production continues. And then if it doesn't, let him go.
I don't know if they're willing to give him that much money for a prove it deal, which is why I think they will let him test free agency.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they'll let him test it, see what happens. And if it's going to be kind of like the Juju deal. If nothing shows up and you rather just stay back, then stay back. But on the other hand, because there's only, what do you think? What will you say, Ethan? Drake, Jameson, and Treylon Burks being probably top 3 receivers in the draft.
Garrett. Don't forget about
Garrett and Olave. So that's probably your top 5.
Yeah.
So if that case, if you like Mike Williams over them, will you pay for Mike Williams is the big question.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, I think
I think he
teams.
goes. I think he's on a new team next year.
Oh, yeah. I think he's on a new team next year for sure. Two more teams to add to that list. I could see Pittsburgh being one, getting him they need a big receiver. I mean, they only have Deontay Johnson. That's not
Well,
a big.
I think Claypool
big
fills
rep.
that role.
They have Claypool.
Yeah. I don't know.
And he's coming out a little bit of a slump of a sophomore year, but
that's just
Yeah,
because
I
of
think-
noodle arm.
yeah.
I guess that's fair, but I
think
could
he
see him
bounces
just with
back.
losing Juju because Pittsburgh is going to lose Juju.
Well, they also
Yeah.
have James Washington on the back end, so I don't know
Yeah.
if they're. I mean, if they lose James Washington as well, I think that's where you start getting into the conversation.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair. But I see Atlanta as another one because Atlanta needs a big body. I mean, they've had nothing but tweeners and slots for years, but I could see, and Atlanta needs to make a move for a wide receiver. I expect them to pick someone up in free agency that's a wide receiver.
Okay.
That's someone I didn't think about, but that would make sense.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what's happening with Calvin Ridley, which if I can skip over you, Ryan, that's my number 2
Yeah,
is
that's
Calvin
fine.
Ridley. What is going to happen with Calvin Ridley?
I
So,
can see that. I didn't even put him down at all.
I mean, his situation is so unique because you don't know anything about what's going on with him. No one knows what
Mhm.
happened. Mental health, that can mean one of a million different things of what ended up, going down. And so who's going to want to take a shot for him? Are they trading him? Are they letting him go in free agency? Are they going to re-sign him? I mean, from sources close to Atlanta, everything says trade so far.
Yeah,
But
I would say most likely trade because I think they still have the 5th year, so you might as well just do the 5th year and then try to get a trade out of that
Yeah.
or something of that nature.
And that's a trade I can see being done with Philly, because Philly has 3 first-round picks for this draft.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't want to go the Allen Robinson route, I think a Calvin Ridley route would be interesting. But you kind of have you basically have 2 of the same player in Smith and Ridley, and then Rager is
Yeah.
kind of its own beast. But then you also have Goddard. So I mean, that would be interesting.
And the other team I could see doing it is the Jets, who have 2
Mm.
first-round picks.
Yeah.
So
I
Atlanta
can see
having
that.
8 and 10. Hey, it doesn't sound too bad to me.
Yeah, it does not sound too bad.
Because I mean, at that point, you can trade Calvin Ridley at 8. You can get, the pick of the leftovers of the top 10. So whether that's Thibodeau falling, whether that's people not wanting to take an early shot at Kyle Hamilton, whether that's a Stingley fall,
Or a
take a
McDuffie.
shot. Yeah, or McDuffie, if that's who they like after the combine and interviews kind of happen. So that's the 8th pick, is the scraps of the top 10. And then at 10, you can go Treylon Burks, you can go, Drake London route. Or if you really liked what you had in Calvin Ridley and just want to replace that system, you could go the Garrett Wilson route. That would surprise me. I would probably see Treylon Burks or Drake London taken first, personally. But I mean, that opens up a lot of interesting things for Atlanta if they have the 8th and the 10th pick.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that honestly really was someone I've always assumed trade, so I didn't even think that he would like test free agency or anything like that. So I
Well, that's if he
definitely
even comes back to the
that
league.
that's true, because
Well-
at this point, if Atlanta might as well just hold on to his rights.
Well, I
'Cause
mean,
we-
it's
we have no
sounding like he's
clue.
going to come back for this next season. It's just
Have
he's
you've heard, because I
Yeah.
haven't heard anything.
Yeah,
from,
I've heard nothing.
so
from anything.
basically the conversations he's had with Arthur Smith, and again, this goes back to all these kind of like rando interviews that Smith and Fana has done these past like couple days, but which is probably why you haven't heard anything about it. But basically what they're saying is he's upset with the organization and they're looking to move him. But the organization itself isn't opposed to re-signing him, trying to get him back, see what that looks like. But it's really looking like we're going to see a trade here within the next couple of weeks for Ridley.
Interesting. Yeah, because I was halfway expecting him to just
If we're
either
th-
come back to the Falcons or just not back to the NFL at all.
if we're talking trade, hear me out here. I just thought of 2 options. Calvin Ridley for Amari Cooper, or Kansas
Ooh.
City sends pick 30 to Atlanta. Because I don't think anyone's looking within the top 20 of trading a first for Calvin Ridley. But
Yeah.
if you're in the
Fair.
late first, however, now we're cooking.
Yeah.
But I mean, we are talking about an established, wide receiver one that's
established-
27 years old, just in his prime.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's crazy to value him at a top 20 pick.
Well, yeah, I would do it if I was a GM, but I don't know how many GMs would be willing to do that, because it's not only a we have to trade for him, it's also we have to sign him,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's how many teams within the top 15 does he really want to go?
And that's
I-
why I do say the Jets, because they have that kind of money.
Well, does he want to be in a win now situation? That's the other thing.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, he doesn't have that clause. He can't necessarily choose,
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. He'd have the choice.
All right,
Unfortunately.
I know we hit Ethan.
Yeah, we kinda
basically
went-
5-4-2. So who's
Yeah.
next?
So my number 3
Yeah, it's Ryan's 3.
is JC Jackson.
Mhm.
So I think the Pats are going to tag him, but if they don't,
Yeah.
I think
Every
some of
team.
his options are the Jets for one, Pittsburgh, and the Chargers. They're kind of lacking in their
Carolina.
secondary.
There's a lot of
Yeah,
teams that need
Carolina.
Well,
secondary.
So-
Carolina getting
and it-
rid of Gilmore.
Honestly, draw a card and he could go there.
yeah.
I mean, he's
Baltimore.
great.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he's great man-to-man threat.
I will
You
gladly.
know, I think he'll what?
I will gladly accept J.C. Jackson with all the love I have in my fandom heart. I will say though, if we're in this situation, if
Mhm.
it's between like me taking Sauce Gardner at 14 or getting J.C. Jackson, I'm taking J.C. Jackson.
As you should.
Mhm. Yeah,
But
I think that's your best bet.
he's a dude, honestly. I remember 2018, Chris Sims was on Bleacher Report at the time, and he goes, "Who the heck is this guy?" And they had Gilmore, they had Jason McCourty, and then
Mhm.
and then he points at like he was number 27 at the time. He goes, "Who is this guy?" And it's JC Jackson, and he is like, "This dude's gonna be legit," and boom, ends up being right. And
Yeah.
he literally filled in the Stephon Gilmore role, and I think he's been dominant, honestly.
Yeah, he's been very effective. Very effective.
I think he's definitely going to be re-signed to the Patriots.
Yeah, no, Bill
Like,
ain't gonna
there's
let him
no
I don't
way.
think Belichick is going to let him go.
Yeah, that's
easily.
Belichick's
without-
golden goose on his defense, and we know how he
Yeah.
feels about his defense.
Yeah, he rarely lets defensive players go.
Yeah,
The only
or easily.
defensive
Easily.
players he lets go is what, D lineman, but
Yeah,
But-
is
He
why he
lets-
let Eric
let Gilmore
Flowers
go.
go, and yeah, well, Gilmore was old. You know,
and
you-
that was also
still
sometimes
a
you got to
decent corner.
sacrifice the goat. You know,
Yeah, it's still a decent corner, but you know,
but that was also at the time where they kind of knew, hey, we kind of have JC Jackson here.
yeah,
yeah,
It's
they
not
had
like
someone that
and
could step up. to
So
the plate
like
and
that's something. If I was JC Jackson's agent, I would basically be bringing up is like, hey, you traded someone, so your guy, so my guy can be the guy. So please
Yeah.
pay him like the guy.
yeah.
yeah.
So I see big
I agree.
money. in
Oh
his
So-
yeah, no, he's gonna get like at least
Yeah.
an $80 million contract with a lot
He's
of
gonna
money
get a big
going
contract.
next year.
Yeah.
Okay, so
You're
who's
your
next?
next guy. You're number 2, Ryan. Because I
Well,
went with
Eth-
my number 2.
Oh,
Ethan, what's your
okay.
Ethan, what's your 3 though?
Mine was
Oh,
Mike
it's
Williams.
Mike
too.
Williams, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
See,
it was
we're on
Mike
the same
Williams.
page. Yeah, on the same page.
Okay, all right. My number 2 is Chris Godwin.
Same here.
Calvin. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's safe to say, you know, he could. You guys have already talked about this. He could be signed to different places. I think that they hold on to him. That Tampa Bay holds on to him, but because they have expressed the intent to hold on to him. So I think that's what's going to happen. But who knows what could have happened in the last couple of weeks or the last month and a half. So he could have been getting, offers from other teams, talking about, the big money he could be making elsewhere. Because he could, like you said, he could set the standard this year
But I
when it
also
comes to.
I also
contract.
think Godwin stays also for the fact that he tore his ACL in like week 14, week 15. And
Yeah.
so is a team willing to sign him knowing he most likely won't be ready for week 1?
Yeah.
And that's where I don't know. That's why I felt really bad for Chris Godwin because he got the franchise tag. Yes, he got money, but it wasn't guaranteed.
Yeah.
So I really hope Tampa Bay takes care of him. But
Hopefully.
I don't
With-
think he's coming back. I'll be the naysayer.
Yeah, be the naysayer.
be the
Tell
I
me
wanna
why.
hear it, yeah. Ain't nothing.
just-
Okay.
I think with Tom Brady retiring, that's just going to be a gut check for him. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not the number 1 because we still have Mike Evans, and then there's also Scotty Miller. There's other stuff going on, and OJ Howard and Brackett or Brait. That's what it is.
Yeah, Cameron Braid.
Yeah, Cameron
And
Brait.
who knows what happens to Gronk as well.
Yeah, and who knows what's going to happen with Gronk?
Yeah.
So my question to you is,
I don't think he's staying.
I think he would have to know who the quarterback is or what the plan is. in order for a move to happen to where he goes, oh, okay, I like this quarterback, so I'm gonna stay.
Yeah,
And
I
so
could see him as a Chargers potential. I think that'd be a good fit for him.
ooh, that would be a good fit.
I
That would be
think
a really good fit for
Yeah,
him.
that's actually a fantastic fit.
With, yeah. Oh my gosh.
I think a super hypothetical is if Aaron Rodgers goes to Denver and he goes instead of Devontae Adams, with them losing potentially some wide receivers out of Denver. That could be another maybe, depending on Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, do you think Green Bay? I see.
I don't.
That's-
Not,
If you're
no.
gonna cave into getting like Rodgers and Devontae Adams now, like you have a sense one, you signed Jordan Love's fate. So as
Yeah.
far as like we're doing what's best for the team, at that point you've handcuffed to Rodgers for his last few years of his career.
Yeah.
So if he's like, go get Chris Godwin, you kind of have to go get Chris Godwin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the other team is the Falcons because they need to do something at wide receiver. Literally, if there's a wide receiver, I want the Falcons to take a swing at him.
I would say watch out for Vegas, to be honest with you.
Ooh,
That could
yeah,
be
that's
fair
also
too,
a
yeah.
good place for him.
I think Vegas could be a very interesting spot.
Yeah,
Honestly,
give him a good opportunity to be wide receiver one there.
yeah, but I think Tampa Bay holds on to him because I think they can at least if they do hold on to him though, you know there is a quarterback coming for the Bucks.
Yeah, they're going to invest heavily in their next quarterback.
And his name will not be Matt Ryan because there's no way the Falcons are trading
His
Matt
name
Ryan to
will
Tampa
No.
Bay.
be Kirk Cousins.
Honest-
That
Would
would make
not
me
hate
happy as a
that.
Falcons fan.
Would not hate
Oh
that.
man. Honestly, as a Vikings fan, I would not hate that.
I would
either.
love paddling the youth pastor in the
I
NFC
would
South.
love to be just rid of him.
Deshaun
Yeah.
Watson, maybe?
Ooh,
I hope
yeah,
not. God, I hope
that's
not.
also that's something. I mean,
Deshaun Watson on
in,
that
in a
team?
Bruce Arians offense.
No, thank
He
you.
can do it. It's
He could do it.
yeah, it really depends on it really depends on what Tampa does. Because I know, like, obviously with Tom Brady, it's like, hey, we'll always leave the door open. We're not going to trade Tom Brady's rights or anything. So in that case, what would make you go, oh crap, we need Tom Brady? Obviously, maybe a season-ending injury, but like maybe get a quarterback you don't know will play the season. That's where it's that's where I'm struggling because obviously Pete Carroll's saying they're not trading Russ, so take one guy out, and then
one of the big guys out.
and then literally the net top two is going to be Rodgers and Deshaun Watson, and
Yeah.
Rodgers is looking like he might stay, and even then, I don't think Green Bay is going to be trading within its own conference, especially a team that they only lost to
Yeah.
not even a year ago in the NFC
Yeah.
Championship game. So I don't know what the move would be. It would have to be something
and
so out of left field, though.
Yeah, and Deshaun Watson, I mean, he's still tied up in legal issues.
Yeah.
You know, that's not going to be.
Yeah,
I don't think that's going to be settled until
the
like
deposition
end of
is
April.
scheduled, for April 1st.
Yeah,
So
so it's at least not
Oh,
going to be for another
Oh,
month at least.
The jokes that popped into my head
Hmm.
on the fact that it's due April 1st, the deposition's April 1st, but
can you imagine they come out and say, "Oh yeah, this whole sex scandal was a joke.
dude, honestly,
Yeah, he just didn't want to play." You know?
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell
Oh
you.
my gosh.
Dude, one
It's
that would be
terrible.
that would absolutely be terrible. And then
my
two,
gosh.
I don't know. There's so many repercussions. I don't even want to get into that.
Oh yeah,
idea.
no, that would
No, like I don't.
the
wait-
league would go ballistic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
And they
know.
paid him because
And
he's
to-
still on
Yeah.
under contract.
Yeah,
yeah,
they paid him.
and to everyone involved for that matter too. So that's a whole. That's no, man.
This is
I
a very
hope
this
not.
is a very serious situation. All right, very serious situation. April Fools,
Yeah,
but not.
yeah. Cal McNair, April Fool. Jeez, that would be. Yeah.
Brutal.
Well, let's just throw the disclosure that yes, this is a very serious situation.
It is.
We just
It is a very serious situation. There are serious allegations.
yeah, and that
April
should not be
Fools.
taken lightly. Oh my god.
So, all right.
No, I do see that whole thing being remedied this summer though. Like whatever's
Yeah,
gonna
but
happen, it's gonna happen in April.
whatever the verdict is, you can count Deshaun. uh, I mean, I wouldn't count him out completely for this next year, but
Yeah.
the 50-50
if he
for
is
sure.
if he is guilty, he's definitely,
Michael Vick 2.0.
at least getting a
More than
fine.
that.
Much more than that,
Yeah.
if he is found guilty.
And
But
especially because the league kind of has to set an example. Not only
yeah,
is this issue, you have the Dan Snyder issue that's happening
Yeah.
going on, that
Yeah.
lawsuit. And then the Cowboys just had to pay they had a lawsuit. I think the settlement was
yeah, against some
2.4 million.
cheerleaders.
Yes,
Yep.
I don't know the
Yeah.
full story off the top of my head, but
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
can't remember what the
yeah.
details
So
were either.
the thing
Is the
is,
cheerleaders.
depending on how the Deshaun Watson issue plays out, the league is going to send a message. Honestly, I think regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, we're not tolerating this. Now, the only,
And good.
which is good. Which is I think that's good.
Yeah, I mean, don't treat women terribly.
Exactly.
I didn't know we had to say that.
Campaign slogan.
NFL
Didn't know we
campaign
had to say
slogan.
that.
Don't treat
Yeah.
women badly. I didn't know we had to say that. I mean,
Hey,
come
we're
on,
gonna-
guys. What,
yeah,
what
we're
are we
gonna
doing?
Put up on
Exactly.
our
What are we
social
doing?
media. Don't treat women badly. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome back to episode 4. Don't treat women badly, please.
Yeah.
At
Oh
Deshaun
my gosh.
Watson,
Treat people with
at
respect.
Dan Snyder, at Washington Commanders, at
So
Dallas Cowboys.
Okay. So moving on. Has everybody done their number 2s?
Well, we all had the same number 2.
We all have the same
Well,
number 2.
mine was
All Chris
Calvin,
Godwin.
No, mine was Calvin
So
Ridley.
I'm gonna,
Oh yeah, technically yours was Ridley, but we
Okay.
all talked about
I
it.
think our number
Okay.
1 is going to be all the same, right?
I think it is the
Like,
same.
come on,
okay.
Josh. Who's number 1 on the list?
Terran Armstead.
No, you're wrong.
What?
You're wrong.
Who is
You're
your number
wrong.
1?
Who is your number 1?
Devontae Adams, of course.
Devontae
Adams is
Adams,
number
man.
1.
Look, here's the thing. Here's why I didn't have him on this list at all. And it's because his situation is so married to Aaron Rodgers
Yeah.
that it's like I don't see it as an individual situation. And so with that, it's wherever Rodgers goes, Devontae Adams goes. And I wanted to kind of highlight, hey, here are 5 other situations that we really do need to talk about. Because obviously we can talk about Devontae Adams all day. But I think a more under the radar like situation is Terran Armstead though. Because he's a top 5 tackle in the league.
But he's injury prone.
Yeah. And yeah, I agree with you.
And well, I think he's going to leave. I don't know where he's going to get
Saints
to.
don't have money, but the thing is,
Yeah.
there's so many good teams that have very serious O-line issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
They have
for
tackle
one,
from
two
Kansas City.
of the top cap space teams right now.
Yeah, the
Bengals
team-
and
Bengals.
Dolphins.
Yep.
Yeah.
The team
Bengals,
Big
like-
teams with O-line issues.
yeah, that made it to the Super Bowl with literally no offensive line, and your
Yeah.
left tackle gave up 10 sacks this year. You better be throwing 3 like armored vehicles or whatever it's called, 3 Brinks trucks
Yep.
at that man,
Yep.
because by
But-
far he
But with
instantly,
his injury history, do you think
Okay.
that they want him?
well, because
Or do you think they want Orlando Brown?
no, Orlando Brown's not leaving.
They're
Because-
they're not going to let him go.
So I'll give you the short answer to why. The Chiefs traded up a lot of picks to get Orlando Brown, and because they did good with him, it puts Kansas City in a backs against a corner situation to where you have no choice but to sign him. It's similar
Yeah.
to the Laramie Tunzel situation, where Laramie Tunzel is going to go, well, you traded two first rounders for me, you have to pay me, and that's exactly what happened. So I think
Hmm.
the Orlando Brown situation is very reminiscent of that. But also, I will say this: Terran Armstead, I think, is a tier above Orlando Brown
Hmm.
when healthy. And
Yeah.
for 14 games, if that, 12 games.
I just think a new situation is gonna help Terran Armstead, honestly,
Yeah.
because like the thing well, you had to deal with Drew Brees, like older, slower quarterback, and then you also had to deal with the fact that there was basically no receiver. So no Michael Thomas. You really didn't have a number two after him either. And then obviously there's just Kamara. And I think the offense more than anything was it was just a wear and tear because that you couldn't just get the ball out quickly. The plays are taking longer to develop. And on top of that, turf.
Yeah.
So I really think if Terran Armstead could get into a good situation with a good offense like Cincinnati, that ball can get out quick.
Yep.
The lack of an indoor practice facility may really change stuff, but I really think
I think they're investing though in
about time.
a new facility.
Why did it take a Super Bowl appearance for that to happen? But over I
Money.
that's why I think Terran Armstead make it like a boatload of money because there are so many teams in the back half of the first round that desperately need O-line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't say Ravens, for example, because you're asking Terran Armstead to move to the right side, which I don't think that makes sense. But
Yeah.
I mean, Cincinnati, example. Do the Rams make a shot? Do the trying to think like who else off the top of my head. Miami was a great idea. Does the Colts take a shot? They have a large amount of cap space.
Hmm.
And
See, I think him going to an established offense that needs to bolster their O line makes more sense than having to go to an offense that's young, that's rebuilding. Just because he's got that experience. He is a plug and play. You put him in there and he's going to defend the blind side.
Yeah.
So,
and I knew
that's why I think the Bengals
make the
is a
sense.
perfect fit. The perfect fit for him. I mean, they're a Super Bowl caliber team. Literally, their one major weakness this entire or all of
that
last
got
year
exposed
was their offensive line, and it got majorly exposed in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl. Just sack after sack. So covering Joe Burrow's blind side is going to be like their number one priority this offseason because they have all of the pieces that's needed to be a playoff caliber team. They just don't have the protection for their number one draft pick of a quarterback. So,
let's also remember sprained his knee because he got hit.
Yeah, while he was getting sacked.
Yeah, you
Exactly.
cannot.
Sprained
And the
his
thing,
knee.
and the biggest thing, and especially with GMs, and I swear if this happened, this angers me more than anything, is when you go, "Oh, quarterback, save us," and you give him basically nothing.
Yeah.
I never want to see an issue like Andrew Luck happen again.
Yeah.
Because honestly, the Colts would still have Andrew Luck today if they actually took care of him.
Yeah.
And the fact that they didn't literally made this man like retire at 29 because he's like, I cannot
in tears.
In tears.
Yeah.
I can. It's like
Because I'm always injured.
Yeah. And what happens when you get injured? Yes, it hurts. And then you go in to get surgery. And then surgery,
there's
rehab. Rehab. And it's just
by yourself.
That's
I think that's something people don't realize when you think of rehab is like, oh, it's rehab. Like they're getting back to the game, and that's just a totally awesome time for them. Have you guys ever gone through rehab?
Oh yeah.
Yep. And
I'll tell you,
it's not fun.
How lonely and how sucky and pitiful rehab is.
It is soul sucking. And Ethan, I totally agree with you. And I'll give the personal anecdote. My junior year of playing football. So basically whoever is local to this area, you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. We played Austin College in Sherman, Texas. And I remember the feeling. I'm going for a pass rush move, and the guy, the guard, hit my shoulder right, and my arm just goes clap, and basically completely tore my labrum, which was already damaged to begin with, and but that sealed the deal. It was my only college start. I get surgery in December. I do the rehab all the way up until May. My shoulder was not the same still, no matter what. And the mental
Dang.
anguish of just understanding that, one, it's a 50-50 chance, but you kind of need to. One, because that college insurance is very legit. And then on top of that, you may get arthritis if you don't take care of it.
Yeah.
And for someone like, especially at a lower level college, like understanding that, hey, this is like, I need to make sure I'm taking care of myself, but put myself in Andrew Luck's shoes. This is my livelihood. And literally when you do it for like what, 5, 6, 7 years straight of season, surgery, rehab, season, surgery, rehab, season, surgery, rehab, whether it be the same injury, different injuries.
Yep.
It messed it one year messed me up. One rehab. I can't imagine what Andrew Luck went through for 6 to 7 years.
Yeah, and not only the mental toll, but the physical too. Injury after injury. The human body can only take so much, and at a certain point, all of that ends up taking a mental toll on you too. So I get it. I went through the same thing that Josh did. I in high school, I didn't play in college, but I tore my labrum on my shoulder, and physically, even since the surgery, have not been the same.
Yep.
I have not been able to do like a full set of push-ups on this right arm without having to go to my elbows.
So
it's so painful.
All this to say, Cincinnati, I swear, you better make sure Joe Burrow is healthy.
Yep.
And you better make sure that you're doing whatever you can to protect Joe Burrow. Obviously, the Jamar Chase,
you won't have him for long.
Exactly. The Jamar Chase pick was great, and I think it was the right pick. But now is the time you need to make sure you get your offensive line in order, so that he can be the franchise quarterback and fighting for the AFC North and then the AFC for years and years to come.
Yeah, I mean, if I see anything other than the offensive line at pick 31, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah.
Or if no moves in free agency and then at pick 31,
they
no offensive line moves, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah.
They need to do something in free agency.
They have to, which is why I put Terron Armstead as number 1.
If I'm Joe Burrow, I ask for a trade at that point.
Yeah.
If they do nothing at O-line, trade me.
Yeah, and Terron Armstead, my honorable mention. So.
Yeah.
My honorable mention is Juju, since we're going that route.
Nice.
Mr. Washed Up himself.
Wow.
No, Mr. Dancing on the Field.
No, at least he didn't do it on the Sean Taylor Memorial.
Oh man, can you imagine? Just
don't
see
bring
Juju
up
in the background
Mahomes
dancing.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I broke one of the core tenets of the podcast.
Yeah. If you say his name too many times, he's gonna do something stupid on Twitter.
It's just like Beetlejuice.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Jackson Mahomes.
No,
Everyone check Twitter. Everyone check Twitter.
Watch out. That's why I deleted it. Oh. But I know y'all had Devontae Adams number 1, so I don't know if y'all want to go.
Yeah, I mean that kind of goes without saying. Like that is the number 1, prospect in free agency.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of different things can happen. I mean, there's the probably most likely scenario where he's married to Aaron Rodgers and, they have beautiful kids together and ride off into the sunset.
Yeah.
I mean, then you have your option of
colored kids.
Yeah, it's what America wants. But I mean, there is this other option.
Stay together, absolutely.
There's the other option. He could go off and do his own thing, and I would love that for him.
Which,
know?
to be honest with you, if I think there's a team like if there was a team that outside of Green Bay, I think it's Tampa
Yeah,
or Las Vegas.
yeah. I think Tampa or
Yeah.
Vegas, and I mean
But-
Vegas probably
but
more likely because
that's
they have a
if-
QB. But
He wouldn't go to Tampa unless Chris Godwin went elsewhere.
Well, yeah. So, but
Then
if you're,
I think he
if
would
you're
go.
the Bucks GM and you have a shot to get Devonte Adams or Chris Godwin, especially if your team's in the
oh
win
yeah, I'm
now
going
mode.
Devontae Adams.
Yeah, I'm going Devonte.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but I don't know. Chris Godwin is younger.
that's
He's
true.
Yeah,
got-
but younger
he's got
doesn't
more
always mean
years in him.
better.
But
No, it doesn't always
so-
mean better. But if he's making a Super Bowl run now, yes, but you sacrifice the future if you go Devonte Adams because
Well,
he may have 2 or 3 more years
th-
left
so
of being elite.
the counterpoint you, Ryan, if I'm the
Yeah.
Bucks, I'm kind of sacrificing the future here. And here's
Yeah.
why. You already won a Super Bowl with Brady. You know how good the team is.
Yeah,
At this point, you have to understand that your window is now. And that
Yeah.
includes going all in to get a great quarterback to fill in Brady. Because God knows you can't just do like Blaine Gabbert or like Kyle Trask to
Yeah.
fall in the footsteps of Tom Brady. That's kind of a crazy ask. Like you literally just go lateral, go Tom Brady with another elite quarterback, and then at this point, and it's something that I think all three of us had said, you're winning now. The window is now. You can-
unfortunately, though, yeah, the window is now, but unfortunately, with the lack of quarterback that they have right now, that is their number one issue because they won a championship with this team with a quarterback. If you add another elite wide receiver and not have at the same level of quarterback, then I don't think they're going to the championship. I don't think they're going to the Super Bowl because they don't have that leadership.
all right, let me
So,
throw an idea.
Their
here.
first, go ahead.
If Jimmy G gets traded over to Tampa, is that a good enough quarterback to take them back?
It can't fit in a Bruce Arians.
Until he throws an
offense.
interception
That's
in
the
the end
thing.
zone in the championship game.
Whoever has to go there has to be compatible with a Bruce Arians offense.
So it's someone who can push the ball down the field.
Exactly.
Which is also not Kirk Cousins.
It's not.
Yeah,
Not
so
at all.
it literally is Rodgers or nothing, is what we're sounding
Yeah.
like.
Or Russ.
Yeah.
If they get,
Look,
you know,
Imagine if they get Rodgers and Adams.
Yeah.
They have Mike Evans. and all
why?
those pieces.
Why do you want the NFC to suck for me, Ryan?
No, but what if that happens? They would be so dominant.
Yeah,
That offense.
that's where that I'm trying to think. Most likely, I think they go for Russ because I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
Seattle
I
has
think I
to
agree.
like have a come to Jesus moment and understand. All right, what is the state of the team? Do we just need to do a hard rebuild or a hard
Mhm.
reboot, or do we try as much as we can to squeeze the most out of Russ? And
Sweet life. Out of him.
yeah, pretty much. Well, that's what they've been doing this entire time, and it's Russell
Yeah.
Wilson, save us.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Okay, where's my
That's pretty much
offensive
what it's
line?
been.
yeah,
And then they have a
exactly.
terrible season.
exactly. And
Yeah.
oh yeah, offensive line is the reason where helmet hits the finger, and so that's where even though they say no intent, I think the exact wording is no intention of trading Russ. But man, if you get a King's Haul for a King's
Yeah.
ransom for Russ from Tampa, I think you have to take it, considering how many
Yeah.
times that Seattle is honestly still feeling the Jamal Adams trade.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like at some point, you have to swing it in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Because
I
I
get that.
mean, like I really hope Russ gets out of there, but I just don't know. I don't know with Pete Carroll, and I think you just need to cut your losses at this point because you've neglected him. Like there's nothing you can do to make Russ want to play for Seattle any longer because he asked for help and you didn't give it to him for years. You know?
And he's good. I mean, he's sat there quietly and taken it.
Yeah.
Now is the time when it's like, okay, it's time to let him go. He's paid his dues.
Yeah.
You
Let him go
guys
to
haven't
Tampa
gone
Bay.
anywhere. Pete Carroll, just
Like I
don't
just think
know.
they have to reboot it just because they haven't been as good as drafting players within
Yep.
like the past few years. And then on top of that, it's just been a bad roster. And it's been a bad
Yeah.
roster for like what, since 2016 at least?
Yeah. Because I mean, what the last player they hit on was
yeah.
what, DK in the second round? Like,
Yeah. And
who
even
else
before
other than
that,
that
I would
And
say
Lockett.
Lockett. Oh, Chris
Oh,
Carson
Lockett, too.
probably be your best pick, the 7th rounder.
Shaquille Griffin, who they let go in free agency. I mean, that was a hit.
Bobby
Yeah.
Wagner.
It was a hit.
But I mean, I'm not
Not
talking about
the
like
good-
one-offs. I'm talking about like good draft classes
Yeah.
Yeah,
that have
no.
benefited the team
that's-
and that
so
they've
that's the
retained.
big
That
thing.
hasn't been since a
That has
long.
not happened.
Right.
And their best one was probably the first year of Schneider and I think it's his last name, Schneider and Carroll, was the Earl Thomas Russell Okung year.
Right.
Mm,
Because, and like, if you think about it in terms of like other teams, well, look at the Falcons when they went to the Super Bowl in 2016. That's the year that they hit on Devondre Campbell, Deion Jones, Keanu Neal, and Grady Jarrett.
Yeah.
And went to the Super
Yeah.
Bowl.
Incredible.
And Vic Beasley.
Yo, and
Like-
oh yeah,
yeah,
Vic Beasley.
and who
So-
was somewhat solid. I'll give you another example. Ravens in 2018, Hayden Hurst, Lamar, Mark Andrews, Orlando Brown Jr., Zach Seiler. They had a couple other people that year, but they were all starters. Like when
Yeah.
you get like a legendary draft class like that,
Even Tampa Bay, when Tom Brady came in, they hit on Carlton
Wirfs.
Davis
Oh, yeah,
and
Carlton Davis.
Wirfs and the other safety,
Antoine Winfield.
Oh,
Antoine Winfield. Yeah.
Jr. Yeah. Yep.
hit on those guys. You know, so I mean,
Yeah, I was so upset the Vikings passed on him.
when you just gotta have a good class. You can't have one good pick because one good pick isn't going to save your team. You gotta find guys that you can plug into your team, whether it's depth, whether it's a slight improvement somewhere. But you have to have a class. You can't have we got DK this year, and this other team got 5 starters in their class, and we got 1. Is that really
Is one elite pick worth 5 good picks? I think is the question.
Yeah.
But and that's where I think that's kind of been the
That's-
fall of Seattle. Is
Yeah.
the drafting just hasn't been as good, and then they have not been the best when it comes to finding players that can adapt to the Seattle scheme, the Seattle scheme getting exposed and figured out, and then on top of that, telling Russell Wilson, "Hey, do everything."
Yeah.
Having it
I-
be pretty much Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I see Russ as a
Everything on
mover.
offense.
Like Pete Carroll can say as much as he wants that Russell isn't going anywhere. That doesn't make me believe him. I just think it's too deep at this point.
I do honestly, if I'm Tampa, 3 firsts and 2 seconds for Russ.
Wow.
Whoa. That's
Because-
a lot.
Yes, it is a lot, but if you really want to think of it this way, Russ is how old? Like he's only like what, 32, 30?
Yeah.
So
32.
he has at least, I say, 5-6 years left in him. And on top
Mhm.
of that, the team's already built. So you just have to keep everybody.
Yeah.
And
He's 33. Sorry.
Oh, he's
so he'll be
33, okay.
34 at the start of next
yeah,
season.
so 4 or 5 years. And the thing is, you're going to have to convince Seattle to trade within the conference. And I think if you're originally thinking 2 firsts and 2 seconds, you may have to add that extra one. Like I would use the Matthew Stafford trade as an example,
Yeah.
as the template.
Well, did you see the interview that Ron Rivera did?
So, all right. So I wanted to put that as news, and I think we'll do it for next week's episode, but we can talk about it because it happened right before. But here's the thing, though, and I agree with you. Ron Rivera said it, and then the Broncos GM said it. They're going to make a move at quarterback. And if I'm Tampa Bay, I'm kind of looking over there. It's like, ooh, they probably have the cap space and all that to do it to where they don't have to trade so much. So if I can convince Seattle to take on the money, let me throw in an extra first. Because at this point, I'm banking on it being essentially a second round pick. Where it's pick 30, 28, 28, 29. And so
yeah.
I think it's worth it.
All right. I
So,
think that's free agency.
That's free agent. Is there any other honorable mentions you guys had?
I do not.
I mean, there's other interesting things out there, but nothing crazy.
Yeah, the only other two I had was Brandon Scherf, who is one of the top guards in free agency. Him, Andrew Norwell. They're probably within the last couple of years of their primes, but if I'm someone like cough Ravens, take a look at. And Marcus Williams, the Saints safety. I brought him up earlier in the episode. I honestly think he may set the market when it comes to safety. It's him or Jesse Bates. And again,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, and again, I see the Ravens maybe taking a swing on either of those two, because essentially this safety draft class is also like Kyle Hamilton and everyone else. And Kyle Hamilton ain't leaving the top 10.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I definitely see them both kind of helping out defenses there, but I stand by my Terran Armstead as number one. And obviously Devontae Adams would be an honorable mention for me.
Okay.
All right. Free agency.
Yeah, I think that was
2022.
That's our free agency
off
review.
Season.
Yeah, off-season free agency review. So we're going to be keeping an eye on this as free agency starts in a couple of weeks. We're going to be keeping you guys updated on news weekly, and if we hear about anything, we'll talk about it, and you guys can hear it straight from us.
Next episode is the fun one. We are going to be yelling a lot.
So these two are going to be yelling. I'm not.
Yes, we're upset.
So this is what we have quoted as our rant episode. We're going to be talking about a couple of different things. Ethan, what are you going to be talking about?
We're going to be talking about the refs. Everyone's favorite zebras.
All right.
Suck.
All right.
And
so we're going to talk about
them.
the refs. And Josh, go ahead with yours.
Well, it's all started with Christian McCaffrey because my dear soul of my fantasy team's attached to him. But I'm going to be talking about injuries in the NFL and how you should approach it.
Okay. All right. So injuries and how you should approach it. And we're going to be talking about the refs. I'm going to be talking about cap space. Theirs is pretty much just rants about what's been going on, frustrations throughout the league and whatnot. Mine is a little more informational. I'm just going to be talking generally about cap space and how that works. So I was curious to learn about it, so I figured I'd throw it in here. Yeah, so that's it for this week's episode. Josh, you want to go ahead and
So let's get to it. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Don't forget to look at our social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Again, thank you all for listening to the Last Place Fantasy Football podcast, and we will see you all next week.
See ya.